if you look at the proposal document, you will look at some of this, some of the things we talked about. You will look at the context analysis there. You will look at the objectives. You will look at the log frame. You will look at implementation strategy, budget, work plan, all that. You can see in any proposal that is put on the table in front of you. But there are a lot of things that are also in the background that you may not see. And these are some of the things that we call them like the fundamental things that we would still want to look at, and you may want to consider if you're writing proposals, or you may also want to have an exposure to if you are going to maybe be involved or be actually doing it yourself. All right, so part 2 today. Let me share my screen, and then we will dive into it just like we did yesterday. Yes, let me know, Bida, if you are seeing my screen now. Bida, can you see my screen, or anyone?
Yes, we can see your screen. Yes, we can see.
Okay, good. So thank you very much. My name is John Ngong. For those who are joining today, I was your facilitator yesterday, and I'm going to facilitate today's session, part 2 of this, to look at the fundamentals of grant writing. We will have our discussion around some of these topics. We will visit a bit what we talked about yesterday, concept note and a full proposal. What are the differences, or maybe what do we need to know about them? We will also talk about where do you launch your donor, or where do you launch your proposal or concept note, and also the project ideas, where do they come from? We'll also talk about things to do with business intelligence. Again, we will talk a bit about needs, but also where else do you look to find information that you will need to put in your proposal. And then we will look at the tools. This is the part I like. What tools would you want to have as you write a proposal? Because as I was saying, it's not really some miracle happening there or things happening in the blue, but you need to have the tools. You also need to have an understanding of some of these tools that are used for proposal writing. Most importantly, we looked at the soft skills part. What are these basic skills? What is your skill set as a proposal writer that which will also enhance or even contribute further to the quality of your proposal? 5 things today, but feel free to raise any point you would think is important. I really like your inputs yesterday, but do the same for today if you feel like there's a topic you would want us to discuss. Today's presentation is not going to be so much of writings coming through your screen, but rather it's going to be more of a discussion. I will throw a slide. It doesn't have so much information, but if we talk them through and discuss them, we will have a lot of information. This is what I believe is going to be our approach for today. So let's go on. Yeah, let's dive into this concept note. Full proposal, sometimes they can cause confusion. But as we said, a concept note is that initial document that you share with someone and say, hey, this is the concept in my head right now. This is the idea in my head. I would like to turn this into a proposal. Can you look at it? And somebody will say, okay, if you want me to look at your idea, give me a document. Like, can you write that down? Once you sit down and write that idea and give it to someone, really you are exposing the idea to the person in a document called concept note. That is it. You have a concept in your head. I cannot say it. I will tell you, write it down. If you write it down, you're putting it down as a note. It's a concept note. All right. So this document is usually short. It doesn't have all the details. You don't even do like details. Let me say like details around the way we're talking about details in the budget, details in the work plan, your sustainability approach, and your no, you might want to keep it at a higher level. This is the idea I have. I might need these resources. I want to do it in this location, and this is my experience around it. Those hard facts you are throwing to someone on the ground. Yeah, so that is your concept note there. And once somebody likes your concept note, they will tell you, oh, okay, that's a good concept. Then they might want to measure it around some things. Oh, yeah, it ties in with our strategy. Okay, maybe it rhymes in with the strategic planning of the government, or maybe our priorities. Yeah, can you write a full proposal on this? Now you go back to your organization or to your table and write that full detailed thing called full proposal. So you are going to make it more detailed as possible, looking at the fact all the factors that we considered yesterday, that lay out a little bit more, depending on what this person would want you to capture. Maybe they'll give you a template and say, hey, can you write a full proposal on this template for the budget, for the narrative itself? So yeah, you dive in now and do the real work. So you can say, even in terms of time, it's the concept note that comes first. If someone likes your concept note, they will tell you, now go write a full proposal, and you go sit down and write that full proposal. So let us not confuse these two. Yeah. Again, one thing I would like to mention is your organizational profile, your program or project profile. This is an important document. You can have like a condensed version of your programmatic capabilities, like to show where are you strong in technically as an organization or as a department. What is your unique experience? Your profile sometimes helps someone to look at, oh, okay, is this someone we can work with? Do they even have an experience in this? So I would say it's also important to have your project profile, or maybe program profile. We were talking about a program yesterday. We operate in Western Equatoria, and we have projects in food security. We are reaching this number of farmers, and we have another project on education. We have another one on child protection. Those things, you can put them in one page and have someone really design it in a way that is elegant. That's a leaflet you can throw to someone if you meet in these cluster meetings and you meet a donor. You might just want to drop that leaflet to them. They'll go read it at their time, and they will look at, oh, these guys are good here. And then and you put your contacts there, of course. And then that would be a way to start off a conversation that will lead to a concept note, that will lead to a full proposal. All right. So these three things are important. Arm yourself with them. Let's go on. We want to look at, where do you launch your concept note? As we said yesterday, nothing really needs to look like you're just shooting in the sky and then seeing what you hit. No, your proposal, your concept note can be as good as it can get. It can be as detailed as it can get. But if it does not tie in with the donor strategy, it will be a very good shot, but not hitting the right target. Okay. So what is important here is that, as a proposal writer, when you are writing a proposal to a certain donor, look at their strategy, look at their donor strategy. And I said yesterday, strategies can change. What they were focusing on, their priorities last 3 years could not be the same now. Priorities after COVID are not the same as they were before. Priorities during wartime are not the same as the ones that are focused on development. You see, in the recent developments in Gaza, you have seen donors already reviewing their development funding for that region, and they're like, oh, we're going to freeze about $580-something million that was meant to be for development work. But now it's not the priority. The priority now is, how do we save lives? All right. So if you write a very good proposal right now that has a resilience language, it has a development language, and you take it to a place like Gaza, I doubt if anybody is going to fund it right now. So donor strategy is very, very important. The donor priorities are also very important, and the context, because they are also guided by the context. All right. So do not launch good proposals or good concept notes if you have not seen the donor strategy. Government strategy, I added this. I know most of our ministries or the government itself still has, some have strategies, some might not have. But in other countries, for sure, you can't implement projects without rhyming to the government strategy. Okay, so there is like long-term planning for agriculture, long-term planning for social protection and all that, education and all that. It has to fit in. If it doesn't fit in, maybe the government stakeholders might not even support your idea, and they might tell the donor, why would you fund something like this? It does not tie with the government strategy. So I added it here. In a way, look at if the context really has this provision, make sure your concept note or your project also is in line with the government strategy. Most importantly, your organizational strategy. I told you yesterday, you could write a very good paper, but when your head of programs look at it and be like, no, this concept note or this proposal does not tie in with our organizational priorities. Hey, why are you talking about livelihoods? Yeah, we don't do livelihoods. We are education people. Yeah, you know, as Excellence Foundation for South Sudan, we are looking at education. We are not looking at farming. We are not. Why would you write this concept note on livelihoods? So you see your head of programs already telling you, don't go there. This is where to go to. Yeah. So make sure you also launch them based on your organizational strategy and the current one. Other things that you can also use to guide your concept notes or your full proposals, other technical studies. Maybe someone has just written a very nice paper, or there's a think tank that have written a very good paper on why or what would really contribute to a successful project supporting girl child education in South Sudan, for example. If you have studies like this that are really backed up with good data, you can also use them to write your concept note. They can give you ideas on what to prioritize, and you can also argue with that technical study as a basis for you to say we can launch this idea. But most importantly, again, rhyming it to the donor strategy, the government strategy, and your priorities as an organization. Are we good with that? Let's go on there. Yes, we say it again, proposal writing is a form of intelligence gathering, because you still want to say things that make sense, things that are true. That's what we were saying yesterday. When you quote sources or when you quote data, make sure you do like footnotes to tell someone, this is where I got this information from. So where do you get your intelligence from? You get it from needs assessments. Sometimes organizations do need assessments for a certain region, or maybe because of a certain conflict or because of a certain phenomenon in the community, they do assessments. Once they do these joint assessments, recent ones, you can use these ones as your basis to say, my proposal is based on this and this, and these are assessments you might want to quote. Sometimes there is a very good cluster system. These clusters can also do assessments. And once they have done assessment, you can use them actually as legitimate sources for project ideas or to back up your yesterday we're talking about justification, right? And articulation of needs. This can back up your proposal idea or the whole write-up. One of the tricks you can also do if you are an organization that has the time and resources, when you see an opportunity, let's say there is going to be a call for proposals from the EU in the next 3 months, you have heard it somewhere, you might want to dive in already into doing, let's say it's going to be a call on livelihoods and resilience programming in a certain location where you want to go and do that project yourself. You can do assessments. What are the issues the farmers are dealing with? How can farmers be supported? What other things are on the ground, you know? And then you can use that later as a voice, a strong voice actually in your project idea to say, based on our assessment, when we visited visiting this community in this location and this time, this is what we found. And we are basing our project on this. That is a very strong one there. I would really love to review proposals where people have done their own assessments and they are telling me facts on the ground. Like objective ones, yeah, not just good stories, but objective ones. I was saying again, you have to quote your data, and it has to be relevant data. You cannot say I talked to one farmer group and that is it. No, it has to go through the scientific validation processes, of course. So that is it. Your own assessments can be a good source of intelligence for your proposal, and technical working group meetings. Of course, these groups of cluster meetings are always good source of information of what is the priority, what is happening, what are the needs, what is changing. Yeah, so it's also good to be part of these cluster meetings or the technical working group meetings. Other things would include face-to-face interactions, the idea of social interaction theory. This is one of the areas I am personally researching on. How do our social interactions contribute to the success of proposals we are writing? For example, if I know Bida and I know him from, let's say he works for this organization, and I know what they do, and then I know what they are capable of and what they have achieved so far. I know it from our interaction during a coffee break, or maybe during our coffee meeting, or we went hiking and we're talking about what they do. And he writes a proposal to me. Do you know that is most likely to for me, it would most likely make sense to see a proposal coming from someone I already know, I have a face to, than a proposal coming from someone I have not interacted with. So I don't want to make conclusions that that's how it goes. That's why I'm doing research on it. But I believe this is one of the areas. So that's why, as an organization, also you need to keep your visibility. Go to these meetings, be seen, talk to people, and once they know you, they are most likely to take you seriously. Yeah. So those are the sources. But I really want us to dive into the tools, because all this work cannot be done if you do not have the tools, right? The tools for your proposal writing. I wanted to give you guys examples of some of these tools, but I understand I don't need to really show you like the live ones, because I use them with the logo of my employer. I'm not legally allowed really to do that, but I can tell you as part of this training, I can mention to you what you may need, what tools you may need, and how you may use them to make your proposal strong. Okay, so one of the tools is a proposal development plan. A proposal development plan, for sure, that's not the proposal itself, but it's the plan. It tells you, we are going to write a proposal from the 1st of October to the 30th. It will be submitted on the 30th. But from the first day to the last day, you need to document and tell everyone, this is what we are going to do. This will be our timelines. This will be the unit responsible for this, and this will be our deliverables as we go. Sometimes you can even include status update on each of those activities. So let's say from day one, you are going to do internal consultations with the partners or with your own team in terms of, hey, what ideas can we do here? We're talking about like technical advisors in your organization that you might want to consult. So you do consultation maybe in the first week of October. And then you can ask the technical advisors or the people who command knowledge. They could be your project managers, those who command knowledge or technical expertise in that field, to write down the main ideas or activities that they might want to implement in this project. Then they can write down, you can give them like 3 days to write that down. And then you already have a timeline when this will be done. Once that is done, you can continue to do other parts, like you continue to articulate the needs we were talking about yesterday. Other parts of the proposal, you can work on them as a proposal writer, but these other people will give you the technical part. And then as you go on, you can also involve the people will talk of log frame later, like the meal part to look at your objectives, the ones we talked about yesterday. Remember those activities, outputs, outcomes, and the staircase, the whole staircase. That is your meal department really, that can own that process, and they can help you a lot once they are seeing the activities. So the whole plan, the proposal plan, looks at what needs to be done, which activity needs to be done, who is going to do it, what will be the deliverable, and then what are the timelines. Once that is done, you can go on as a proposal writer. You are the owner of the whole process. You are coordinating the whole process. You can tick what has been done. This is tick, or you can do an update, pending, done, not started, things like that. This is something you do on an Excel document. So your proposal plan really guides you as a proposal writer, so that you don't get lost, because let's say important steps can be lost if they are not put in a writing in this proposal development plan. Steps can be skipped, and then it would be chaos if there was no written plan. You cannot hold people accountable for missing deadlines. You can also not hold people accountable for not doing certain deliverables. So once you have the proposal development plan, you share with everyone. Everyone will be involved in this process, so that they already know this is the plan, this is the timeline we are going to submit here. And yeah, I know the budget will be done on this date, log frame will be ready by this time, and all that. So that's your proposal development plan. One thing that is really important is the design meeting that you need to do for the project. Projects or proposals should not be written by one person. John Ngong here cannot sit in a room, write his own proposal, submit it to the donor, and then come and tell the organization, guys, we have an award from the donor. This is the project. Then they will ask you, what are we going to do? And then I begin to tell them, these are the activities, these are the objectives, and this is the location. No, these people already need to be part of the process. So how do you bring people together? You do a meeting. And in that meeting, you have an agenda. You can tell, you can, from 8 in the morning to 10, we are going to brainstorm on what activities we will do to meet this objective. And then we are going to look at activity, and we're going to look at geographical prioritization. Where do we go to with this activity? What approaches shall we employ? And then whom shall we work with? All these people they will need to be involved. And how much, actually, it's really important. How much are we going to ask from the donor? Even if the donor is saying you can ask for 5 million, it doesn't mean as an organization you go for that, because you also know how much you can take, how much you're capable, and you know how much you can ask for, do a good job, and deliver good results. But you cannot ask for 5 million when you don't have financial systems for 5 million. You will crash, and the donor will just knock you out in the next call. But if you can take according to your capacity, this is also an internal process you need to have. So when you are doing your design meeting, project concept note, whatever, like a design meeting for that project, make sure all these stakeholders, finance is there, the project manager is there, technical people, like maybe your advisor for education programming. If it is a protection one, maybe you have your child protection, and all those people who are like technically experienced in that field to be part of the meeting. So you tell them what are the ideas we do to meet these objectives, say activities, and then what approaches, where shall we go to, how much are we going to ask for, how much creativity can we allow into this, you know? So all these people guide you. And by the way, projects are only good if they have ownership from within the team. But if you have like, you know, this proposal, people just wrote something that is not even applicable. This is not applicable in our context. Once you hear the project manager talking like that, you just know this project is about to fail. And I'm saying it's not happening. It can happen. There are projects that are written and the project manager does not even know what is coming. Just say, we have a new project pop on the table. Can you implement? Once you begin to implement, you feel like, no, this does not work. But if you have a design meeting, people will tell you, no. If you are going to do this activity in this location, it will not work there based on what we know. And sometimes they can tell you, no, why don't you do this other one? So that's where you really collect your ideas to take forward into a proposal. Again, if you go down, there's a technical framework document or a tool that you have here in this technical framework. You are just saying, these are our activities, maybe 20 activities, okay? These are the targets. target here, you are looking at how many people you will want to reach under each activity. And then you can suggest maybe cost around that. Your technical framework is the written documentation of what you discussed in that design meeting. Okay, so when you are doing a design meeting, somebody needs to take note. Somebody can take note independently of what is discussed, or you can even ask your technical people to write down their own ideas. If it is, let's say this is a multi-sectoral project that you are designing. There is education part, there is a protection part, there is a livelihood part. These technical people there will need to write down their activities in these technical framework documents. And it's also a way you can hold them accountable, so that they don't tell you, hey, you put these things on your own. We didn't even say this is what we are going to implement. So once they share this with you, because as you do the whole process, you're also keeping yourself safe from all the possible blames that will that can happen, because projects can fail. I guarantee you that projects, even if designed in a very nice way, they can fail. And once they fail, do you know what people will do? Say, it was this guy who wrote the proposal. Who is that? You know. So for you also to protect yourself from all that, you need people to go with you step by step. Tell them, guys, what ideas do you have? These are the ideas we have. Okay, tell me, write it down in that technical framework. That is a document you put there at the back. Save. You go ahead. Okay, so once you have the activities written down in the technical framework, you can ask the M&E department to help you in doing the logical framework of the project. We're talking about activities yesterday, outputs, indicators, and things like that, outcomes, and all that. Mill people also can blame you a lot as a proposal writer. If you are going to put targets or indicators that are not realistic, they say, we don't even know about this. This cannot be when they are doing the evaluation of the project, said this was not realistic. The goal for the project was not realistic. You know, but for you to protect yourself from all that, you tell the mill department, guys, if we do this activity, what would be the realistic indicator values? Yeah. So they'll put that for you. Also, they are very good in defining. Yesterday we said it can be confusing to put output, activities, and outcomes together in one document. It can be confusing, but the mill people are the experts here. So tell them, guys, do the logical framework. Once they have given that to you, put it in your pocket, you are good to go. Now you go to finance and be like, guys, these are the activities that have been agreed on. These are the targets. Let's do the budget. So you build the budget together with them. You can use the donor template. You can, if it is unsolicited proposal, you can use your own internal template. But the most important thing is that make the budget comprehensive, because if you missed out some things, this activity we said we are going to do, but it is not budgeted for. Where is the money? Headache. As a proposal writer, that is a situation you do not want to get yourself in. If you have activities that are in the narrative, because the narrative is always what the donor will read first. Oh, you said you are going to do 10 activities. These are the people you are going to reach in this location. And then you go to the budget. If you don't have, like the way we said yesterday, if you do not have the resources, you cannot implement activities without the money. So if you promise 10 activities in the narrative proposal, but in the budget you have only budgeted for 8, those two remaining activities are going to be a big headache for you, because the donor will say, hey, you promised me 10. Why are you doing 8? And then you say, because I only budgeted for 8. I don't really think that is a conversation you would want to hold with anyone. So make sure that the budget is comprehensive, capturing all the activities that are budgeted for and other things, because in the budget, you don't only capture activities that are direct, you also have other costs, other relevant costs that are included for you to implement this project successfully. All right. So make sure you have included other implied costs, like the cost for electricity, maintenance, fuel, office rent, because you need an office to implement this project. All right. You also need other things like support costs, even for staffing. You need a procurement person to help you, finance, human resource, all these things. Yeah, all these people might not be covered in one, just in one budget or one proposal, but make sure they also covered in a certain percentage. We were talking about level of effort yesterday, certain percentage for these shared positions and activities, right? So when you are doing your proposal, these are the tools that you might want to look at. Make sure you have your proposal development plan. You have the design agenda that captures what you want to do, and you have a technical framework. This is where this is just a document where you put your activities in. You have the logical framework designed with the help of your mill team, and you have the budget. Work plan you can do. As a manager, you already know how you can sequence some of these activities. Other technical tools might be there based on what you are required by the donor. We're talking about risk yesterday, so you can have a risk matrix that talks about what are the risks associated to this project, mitigation, and maybe other issues that you might want to capture. Sometimes you might also be required to have other annexes. Capturing unique things that the donor might want. If it is not at risk, they can also ask you to talk about maybe your communication plan. What is your communication plan for the project? You can also include it as one of the annexes or one of the tools that you might want to fill in the proposal. They can also tell you even to write down your community engagement plan, things like that. Or maybe if you are going to do technical approaches, they can ask you also, if you are going to engage farmers in livelihoods and maybe microfinance, they can ask you if you have manuals or something like that. You can also submit along. All right. So those are the tools for you. And then, yes, let's go into the skill set part. As a proposal writer, I believe some of these skills are essential. You can have more, but I would really want you not to miss out on these 6 ones. Some of us have learned some of these things in a hard way. I would say really hard way. Where a time you write emails and people say, it's too late. Why are you telling us now about bad project design at this time? We have other things to do, But I would say timely communication is an essential thing. One way you can communicate to people effectively and hold them accountable is by doing the proposal development plan that we said before. For the whole month, you show them what you're going to do, who is going to be responsible for what, who's going to deliver it on this date and the timelines. So once you have that, you have controlled about 50% of your timely communication. Because you can say, hey, I sent this email 2 weeks ago and I said this would be the deliverables. Didn't you get it? They say, hey, I got it, but I did not do it. Let me do it now. Then you have pushed it on their side. But if they tell you, why are you telling me now that I need to do list of activities under education sector, then as a grant writer, you are the one who is cornered in that case. So make sure timely communication, it goes to everyone. The things also I was telling you around timely communication. If you identify an opportunity, you might not just want to present it to people when it is 2 weeks remaining. The management might want to look at it. That's where you say, can you design a no-go meeting, no-go meeting, maybe for us to decide if this fits our strategy, should we go for it, or blah, blah, is the timeline realistic? That's also part of timely communication, because it will be useless for you to say, hey, we are going for an opportunity and you have only 2 weeks or maybe a week, and there are all these stakeholders to involve. The quality of work might be compromised. But the timely one I'm talking about here is where you make sure that what you want to achieve is communicated earlier to your team. Because if a lot of things are done, even if they are done with good intentions and they're done in a rush, their quality will still be compromised. We're talking about one important aspect for the quality proposal is gathering inputs from different internal stakeholders. We're saying here, stakeholders in your organization could be the technical advisors, they could be finance people, the mill people, your accountability to affected population, focal point, gender. All those people are very important. Their ideas or their thinking needs to be reflected in the proposal correctly. So once you have gathered all their inputs, if it is activities, you have the technical framework where you have their activities listed there. If it is meal, you have them fill in the log frame themselves and the M&E plan. Once you have gathered all this information, it's your duty to gather all this information. People might continue to do their daily work when you are busy in a room writing a proposal. But if you don't tell them, hey, Meet, can you do this and submit on this date, they might not come to you. And when you miss a proposal deadline, who's held accountable ultimately? It is you as a grant writer. So in that case, you make sure it's really important that you have timely inputs from people, and based on timely communication, you can give people time to think or work or give you a quality submission, right? One thing that is really important for you, this is something you cannot learn in theory the way I'm telling you now. This is the part I say, this is like swimming. Even if you read how many manuals on swimming, you really need to swim. You need to get in there into the water for you to learn how to swim. It's the skill of making sense of all the inputs you'll be getting from the internal stakeholders I was telling you. From even when you look at the business intelligence part that we looked at before, there could be so much data that is there on assessments, on publications, on studies, other information you might have overheard in these meetings. It's your responsibility to make sure that you make sense, you analyze this data and make it as coherent as possible. So that brings you to the skill of making sure that what you hear, when people tell you we are going to do this activity, and it is a list of activities actually, you make sure that you create the overall coherence, making sure your proposal speaks as one document and none of the parts is contradicting the other, or none of the parts actually does something else that is not even part of the whole idea. So you make sure that the whole document, a proposal is an argument. You don't want your argument to have logical inconsistencies or internal contradictions. You will be self-defeating, right? So what you might want to cultivate here is the skill of looking at, is the whole proposal making sense, or is it coherent, no internal inconsistencies, right? So once that is done, you also check if your proposal speaks the donor language or the language is appropriate to technical sectors. You have seen when you are doing other technical programming, let's say this is a protection project, you can even be, I mean, somebody will look at your proposal and be like, no, this is not right, the language is not right, because you might be referring to people. I can give you an example in protection, maybe the gender-based violence survivors. You might have them as a target group. If you continue to call them victims, if you continue to call them in a term that is demeaning, the donor might not take you seriously, because people who review projects from the donor side are also technical expertise. So if you write a food security project from the donor side, the person who's going to review is their food security technical person. These people who are working with donors as technical reviewers have over 20 years experience. You can't play around with them. So the language has to be appropriate as much as possible. Speaking the donor language means the language in your proposal ties in to the language in their strategy, in their list of priorities. Or if it is an emergency project, to make sure the proposal speaks an emergency, like making sure you use terms like, this is a life-saving response, meeting immediate needs, maybe talk of things like life-saving interventions. Okay. But then if it is a long-term proposal, you don't need to use terms like life-saving activities or something like that. You're looking at resilience building. You are looking at terms like maybe like livelihood, graduation of farmers into other steps. So your language can be as relaxed as possible, and it can also be immediate, like really it has to happen now. You have to give us the money now so that we can go and save lives, depending on the overall context. So your proposal, the overall proposal needs to have a language of the language that is appropriate to the context you are writing under. And then as a proposal writer, do not forget that you will have the overall responsibility to make sure whatever is required for this particular submission is as complete and as and nothing missing. Okay, so you do a proposal checklist. If it is required that you need to have a risk register, you need to have a sustainability framework. You need to have your documents like registration certificate added. You need to have your past proposals or past projects, a sample of included. You also have other documents that are needed by the donor. Make sure you have this in a checklist and make sure it's captured. You can also develop a checklist from the template that the donor has given you, because the proposal template can look at things like you have an executive summary, tick. You have a context overview, tick. Needs analysis, justification, objectives. All these things you can have like a small checklist to say, did I touch on all of them? Once you are good, your budget capturing this and this, all those ones. Once you have ticked them, you say, I'm good to go. Okay. So basically, that is what I would say, these are the important skills as a proposal writer. But most importantly, it depends a lot on what you want to do. Some proposals will want you to have critical thinking. Some proposals will want you to be creative. Some proposals would also want you to create an idea that you are the most qualified, like you have all the technical expertise to do this. So it depends a lot on how you want to package and present your proposal. But as a proposal writer, I would not ignore the importance of timely communication involving your team, really, so that nobody says, I don't even know how this was put in the proposal. Now, how can we implement? They better have it as their own suggestion, so that if it fails at the community level, you can have a discussion to readjust or revise. You can do project revisions. This is okay. The donor knows that. You can also have budget revision. You can also have even change of location if some things do not apply to that community anymore. But if imagine that was because of your mistake as a proposal writer, you said you are going to do, let's say, activities around livelihoods, or let's say farming in a community where people keep livestock, and you put it there as an activity, the manager will tell you, what were you thinking? But if it is something that was put there by them, and you have also checked to make sure that you are making sense of their inputs, and something changes in the field, you can do as a team. You remain united in terms of what you want to do, and you can do project revision without necessarily people hitting you as a proposal writer, because you can be, as a proposal writer, you are someone's hero, you are also their problem. So it's a two-way thing. If the proposal is submitted, funded, activities are good, or say this guy is good. But if something is not right, say this guy is something else. What was he thinking when he writes this thing? So you are not a hero all the time. You're also not a villain all the time, but maybe the way you involve people can contribute to this. And yes, checking for coherence is also important, because we said earlier that all proposals or concept notes should be launched from the strategy. So you also check if this aligns with that. I would want to say, let me throw it back to you guys to hear from you, and then open it up because I finished my 1 hour of presentation. Bidal, do you want us to do it like yesterday, where we give people the chance either in the chat or directly to talk and ask questions?
Okay, thank you so much, John. I've given you a virtual hand clap. Excellent. That was impressive presentation, and a lot of learning points. So I've just checked through the chat box, and there are really no questions in the chat box. So this means that people have been following the session keenly. But now we will now throw it back to you again. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand, and then we'll ask you to unmute and then ask your question. Or also, if you have extra comments, you have some additional information to add so that it helps all of us in this call, you can also do so. So yes, we are throwing it to all of us. You can raise your hand and then we'll be able to point you out if you have any questions, so that when you go out of here, at least your expectations of joining this session have been met. Yes, any questions? If you have a question, you can raise your hand up, and then we will give you the opportunity to ask your question. Okay, I see a hand from Soroba. I see a hand from Soroba. Soroba, you can ask your question, please.
No, mine is not a question.
Or comment.
There is a comment or application. As pertaining the project development plan. So the good concept. I also want to add that this is where most organizations normally face a lot of challenges because they are not following this thing. I'm one guy who has been working before here in some of the NGOs, but you find that proposals are just brought without involvement of the team. So as following easy explanation, so most of the things you said are correct. This is where normally the team will be split and then a lot of questions. So I'm really grateful. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Soroba, for the comment. Now we give it to Saddam Aniston. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. John. It has really been an amazing session since yesterday. You've been taking us through this important proposal development. Indeed, what Soroba said is really very practical. For example, there are some donors who will even come with their ready proposal. We're like, okay, this is the proposal. This is what we need you to do, and yeah, you will have to implement A, B, C, D. So it has, especially in the humanitarian sector, this has been some of the challenges that we are facing. But you know, sometimes you don't stick to your principles and the organization strategies because money is here. Yeah, let's just go for the money and implement. And yeah, as long as we are getting the funding, is not a problem. But really, how do you look into your organization strategies? What do you stand for as an organization? Plays an important role in how you will be able to run your programmings. Coming back to what I'd wanted to inquire, Mr. John, you've talked of running your proposal checklist, and you've talked of if there are some risk register and sustainability strategies. But there are other documents that you will have to put in your proposal checklist. That's one. Number two, I believe when developing your proposal, of course, you have to also put into your mind the resource mobilization strategy. What will you, or how will you be able to explain to us of the resource mobilization strategy for an organization? Thank you.
Bida, would you want me to react to this, or
yeah. You do like what you did yesterday. Just one after it.
Okay. Sawa. I think that is a very good input right there, and thank you both. It actually ties into a question that is coming also from Maurice Boniface, is asking if you are writing a proposal, at what point do you want to involve the beneficiaries? All right, so I can pick up from there, and then I'll come down to Saddam. Yesterday we talked about needs analysis, and we talked about community involvement to really know what is the need on the ground, what are their priorities, and that is what you put down when you do your needs analysis section. So that was part of what we looked at yesterday. That is where you involve the community. And for sure, do not miss that out, because one way to make your proposal strong is to show meetings you have done with the communities. You have the voice from the community, and you also have numbers that are coming from that particular community you would want to target. So yes, before you even come down to say we are doing the write-up, before you do the write-up in that meeting, in the design, whatever, make sure that the needs of the communities are already relevant, because some of you are experts. Sometimes you might find yourself in a situation where the expert or the technical advisor for your organization, for that sector, is coming from another country or maybe another context. And they don't fully understand what is happening on the ground. That is a very awkward situation, because the advisor might begin to advise things that are relevant in Sierra Leone, but you know what you are seeing in the ground in Upper Nile is different from that. So only the community voices will save you or make you arrive to a realistic ground. So yeah, do that. Coming into projects that are written by the donors and they are thrown to you as an organization. Mentioned here before that when you spot an opportunity like that as a grant writer, one of the things you will need to do is to organize a meeting with your leadership so that they decide, is this something we want to go for or not? Of course, when the money is on the table, people change their character. People even change their priorities based on the money on the ground. How can we let $500,000 go? Free money, the donors come to us, let's do it. But that is you setting up yourself for failure. Because when you begin to implement, you don't have the experience, you don't have the needed expertise to implement this, and you get bad results, and the donor will not come back to you. So if you in your go no go meeting, you are not realistic, you might go for whatever comes your way, and that can set you up for failure. Sometimes you begin to grow when you explore new areas, but you might need to consider that a lot. And from my personal research, what I find is that projects that are just prescribed by the donor or by you as an organization into a certain community without the involvement of the community, or the donor designing projects without involving you, is a form of humanitarian dictatorship. That is not supposed to be appropriate. All right. So there, I would say, yeah, keep it that way. Sometimes as a grant writer, you find yourself in a difficult situation. You think this does not align with our strategy. This does not align with our with the reality we know on the ground, but the money is here. If you let it go, at the end of the year, they will evaluate you and say, last year you only raised 1 million. What is wrong with you? The guy who used to be before you used to raise 2 million per year, or maybe our annual target was 3 million. Now you did not reach. So sometimes as a grant writer, you find yourself in a dilemma. Do you let this money go and compromise your figures, or do you dive in and then risk it all? So it's a call for moral decisions. When you talk of checklist, the checklist might not be comprehensive. It's not necessarily one checklist at a time. So if a donor is releasing a call and they say, when you are submitting your proposal, make sure you submit this and this and this and this and this documents, that becomes your checklist. So it's not one thing. So there are donors who will even ask you for your recent annual reports. They will ask you for audits. They will ask you for organogram. They will ask you for reference letters, you can imagine. Right? So all these things, once they are required, they become part of your checklist. But if in a situation where they are not required, or maybe you are writing to a donor who already knows you, then you don't need to worry that, and you don't need to have them included in your checklist all the time. Yes. Resource mobilization strategy, very important. This is looking inwards, mostly into like, what do you do as an organization to get as much resources as possible in the environment in which you operate? That becomes your resource mobilization strategy. Are you going to be going into donor offices and knock at their doors? Are you going to be keeping your intelligence high? Are you going to be maybe doing like fundraising campaigns to get whatever you want to do becomes part of your resource mobilization strategy. So usually it's what you do as an organization to make sure you have more funding coming in, right? But when you are writing proposals, you have to consider other things in the background also, right? So you can say we will be doing quarterly visits to the donor offices. We will also be doing doing, like the way we were saying before, information sharing, like the way we're talking about your project or organizational profile, share it with as many donors as possible. These would be small things that will be part of your strategy, but also your resource mobilization still is tied to your organizational strategy, because you cannot be mobilizing resources for food security programming when your strategy has a different outlook. So that is how I would want to look at the resource mobilization part. But as a grant writer, that's a document you also need to have. In your resource mobilization, also, you look at the donors. Who will be your priority donors? Are you going to? You can even put donors in a tier. You can put them. These are like top level, high need donors. We must go. Like, we must have a relationship with them. Second level donors, third level donors. This is you writing it down in your resource mobilization strategy. Okay. You can also look at things like, for you to keep your business intelligence up there, you could always have like maybe involve the meal team to do assessments and give you relevant information all the time. Okay, being part of the cluster activities and knowing what is happening in the context, relationship with the donors, and also the government. You cannot operate in a county where the county departments don't even know what you guys do. When donors come, they will point them to other organizations. They will not mention you. But as your strategy for resource mobilization, you also need to keep yourself visible or relevant in those kind of discussions. All right, let me open it up for other people.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, John, and thank you so much. I see there are some questions in the comment section. One person is asking that he needs clarification on concept node and other two required necessities. I don't know what he means by two required necessities. James Con, can you please unmute and clarify what you mean by other two required necessities? Otherwise, the first question is clear. He needs clarification on what a concept node entails.
Yeah, I think just thank you so much, John Ngong, for this nice presentation. So I was just having some small input to put across when developing a project proposal. So like it happened to me one time where I was developing a project proposal, then I failed to put the target beneficiary. So it really affected my project, and immediately my project being eliminated out. And even also like now I've learned a lot. So like that from yesterday up to today, I don't think that again I will do any mistake when I'm developing my project proposal. So thank you so much, just this is just my small input that I will do. Thank you so much.
Is it now clear, John?
Maybe Bidai, if you could say that, because James' voice faded from my speaker at some point.
Yeah, he's just he just wants to have more information on what a concept node is.
Okay. Only that?
Yeah, only that.
Oh, okay, good. As we mentioned earlier, a concept node. Would somebody wants to say it maybe in a different word? Let me open it up also for the room. Maybe there are contributions here. Yeah. You guys are shy. I will say it for James' sake. Concept node basically is you writing your idea down so that the donor sees what you want to do. The concept is yours, but you have to put it down in a paper. You have to put it down in a document. You have to put it down as a note. So that idea in your head you want to do to support farmers in this community, the idea is yours, but you need to put it down in a paper. That becomes your concept. And in that case, you are already writing a concept note, right? To give it to someone or to a donor. Yeah. So concept note is a short, I would say concise layout of what idea you want to do, where you want to do it, the people you want to target, and maybe you might already want to tell the donor how much you will need to do that activity. And if it is allowed, usually they are very short. Concept notes can be very short, could be like 3 pages, 5 pages maximum, in my experience, what I've seen. So you might also want to say how much resources you will need, but also the people you will reach, and a bit on your experience doing this activity, because you can be doing activities that you have never tried and convince someone, right? So basically that's it on concept node.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. There's one question that just came in from Moro Moses. Moro Moses is saying there is this question that surely is coming from particular donors as one of the components in a concept node, and asks, how are you going to mobilize resources for this project? I think this is just about resource mobilization.
Okay. I wanted to have a bit of clarity on that too, because if the donor is asking you, how are you going to mobilize resources, or maybe how are you going to mobilize additional resources? Because sometimes the donor will require you to have contribution, your own contribution towards a proposal. It might not be the same as the one that is coming from the donor, but it could be like, maybe if you can add additional resources as your own contribution, they will surely ask you, what do you contribute? You can say, we have maybe about 50,000 that we can contribute to this project, or maybe you can say we have volunteers who are going to contribute their time, or maybe if you are going to write a proposal on food security, for example, the community can contribute. Maybe they will have their tools ready already. They will have their tools ready. They will have their seeds ready, but they would want you to guide them on technical agricultural practices or other technical guidance. Yeah, so that kind of contribution, it could be material contribution, it could be like money that you want to contribute to the project, or sometimes it could also be time in terms of technical expertise. You have an expert in the team that is willing to support the project. That is your contribution as an organization. This person is not only supporting this project, but other projects as well. So that kind of match contribution, yeah, I would think so. Mhm. I don't know if that answers the question from Moses. Maybe Moses, you might want to unmute.
Yeah, sure. So we can give ourselves a 6 minutes break. Uh, take a step back, grab some glass of water, and then we will get back here at 2:20 to continue with any other questions that might have not been answered. So guys, we have dropped the attendance register in the chat box. You can put in your attendance for today. If you're following on YouTube, the attendance has been pinned on the top of the live chat. You can register your attendance from there. Otherwise, it's been a lovely session, and generally the facilitator took us through very important aspects, such as the difference between a concept note and a full proposal, where he said that a concept note is a short conceptualization of a project idea with less details and mostly focuses on the project idea, whereas the full proposal is more detailed and is a longer version of the project idea. He also made emphasis on the need for organizational program or project profile, which is a condensed version of your programmatic capabilities, technical niche, and your unique experience as an organization. And then he also talked about some of the factors you should consider when launching your project node, such as the strategy of the donor, the government strategy, especially in countries where the government is very intentional about what they want to be done. And then also you should take into consideration your strategy as an organization and other technical studies around the area of your intervention or the area where you consider to launch an intervention. And he also talked about the business intelligence that you should consider for your project proposal development, such as very recent needs assessment, cluster assessment and studies, your own assessments as an organization, cluster or technical working group meetings, and also face-to-face interactions or social interaction theory. And much as you have taken those other aspects into consideration, you should make sure that as you embark on your project proposal development, you should have some tools in place. One of the tools is what we call the proposal development plan, which is more like a roadmap, and it sort of helps guide you for purposes of accountability, because if you don't have a plan, and like we said that the project proposal development requires teamwork. So if one of the team member fails to accomplish their tasks, when you have the project development plan, you can hold them accountable. But when you don't have the plan, which is a roadmap, then you cannot hold anyone accountable for any failure or lack thereof. And then you should also have a design for meeting agenda, because you should be having meeting agenda from time to time. So make sure that the meeting agenda is properly designed so that when you meet, you are able to follow these things up. And also the meetings should be documented so that you can also go back and forth in case of any reference. And you should also take into consideration your technical framework, and then your logical framework, as well as the budget. The budget can be used using a donor template, which is usually comprehensive, and other relevant costs are included in your proposal budget. We also talked about the necessary skill sets that you should have as somebody who is considering project proposal development, such as timely communication. Make sure that communication is very, very key for you to succeed in everything that you do. Try as much as possible to communicate as early as you can, and also using the appropriate channels. You should also be able to gather inputs from internal stakeholders. That is a skill set that you should have, and you should make sense of inputs that you get. You should be able to create an overall coherence, and then speak the donor or sector appropriate language. And also you should be able to run your proposal checklist. So those were the key things that were part of the discussion earlier today. And then there were some inputs from members of the team, and also there were some questions that were asked, especially people who are still seeking clarity on what a concept note is, which the trainer was able to clarify. And then also there was a question on the issue of whether to envelop beneficiaries during the proposal development so as to gather information, or after when you are done with your project proposal writing. So these are very, very key things that were discussed during the meeting, and we are for a 5 minutes break. We will of course share the presentations. I see many comments in the chat asking for the presentations. So usually we don't share, we will share the presentation with you guys via email. The presentation will be stored on the cloud, and then it will be you to go to where the presentation is located, and then you will be able to download it. And then you can also, the link will always be available when we send to you via email. And also we will put the link in the WhatsApp group for those of you who are in both WhatsApp groups, for the personal development masterclasses, as well as the WhatsApp group for the Tukul School. We will put the links for the presentation there, and then you will download. And then you should also know that this session is live streamed on YouTube. So this means that you can always revisit this discussion anytime, as long as our Gmail account continues to exist. You will have access to this recording, and you can always revisit some key points, some key moments of the video, so that you sort of refresh your mind in case of things that you have forgotten. We have 1 minute left for our break to get over. Do not forget to hit that link and register your attendance, so that we know that you have been part of the session, and we'll be able to send you the presentations. Because if we don't have your email, we will not be able to send you this. I see some of you are asking links, the WhatsApp groups. You check the email, the confirmation email that was first sent to you. It has the link. So always you should be. We talk about communication, so it's very, very important that you actually take communications very, very serious. We usually send. Some of you, I think, joined the WhatsApp groups using the link that we sent. So for us, like for me, I don't add people, in WhatsApp groups giving me their numbers and then I add. No, I don't do that. So I just send you the link by email, and then you should be able to join the group. So if you're not in the groups, we will send you the links after the call together with the resources. Then you can choose whether you want to join or you do not want to join. Otherwise, guys, welcome back from the break. I hope, John, you've been able to grab some glass of water and maybe change your sitting position a bit.
That's right. The two are right.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So, guys, we are back to get the second round of questions. I see already a question here. Somebody is asking now. We talked about the components of a project proposal. What about the components of a concept note? What are the major components? What should a concept note have? That is a question from Deng Atem. And then there's Saddam Anison, who is asking you to kindly share with them your contact details. Yes, we will share his contact details when we send the presentations. Also, if you're in the WhatsApp group, we will share his contact details there, so that you can reach out to him for further engagement. And yes, so those, and then another question that just came, that experience plays a key element in the success of a proposal. How do you think a new organization can try to convince a donor? Yeah, so I think Like for me, what I know is usually most of these new organizations, they win based on what John Ngong explained earlier, like based on interaction. So probably when they write to a donor that they have interacted previously with, so that is like for me, I've seen like these new organizations, they get it using that way. Over to you, John, with the two questions. Thank you.
Okay, that is right. As a new organization, there are a lot of challenges, and one of the challenges is how do you get the resources now to begin implementing your good vision. I believe as an organization, you start with your vision, but your vision cannot be operationalized if there are no funds. So yeah, the point is to knock on as many doors as you can. Be visible, reach out to people, tell them your ideas, and maybe your creativity can let you outshine people who have a lot of experience in that field. And also one way is to partner with those who are already on the ground. You can be independent later. But in the meantime, you can look for an organization that you know and tell them, we could be implementing maybe just one component of their activities, not the whole project. And then we can begin to implement two components, grow, and then you begin to have your own independent side using that as your experience, right? So it's a long journey, and sometimes it is tough. A new organization can even go as long as it can even go to maybe 5 years without getting single funds approved for them. So don't give up, but it's a journey. All right. When we talk about components of a concept note, I would still say concept note is the shorter version of your proposal. So sometimes the donor would tell you, give us your concept in this format. You follow the template they have shared with you. If they have not, then you can also sit down and say, I have this idea and this is what I want it to look like. So you can decide on your own what key components you would want to talk about in this particular document. Yeah, so it's also a bit flexible. If it comes from the donor, follow what they are giving you. If it is your own, just think of what you might think is the most important one. You can talk about a brief overview of the needs on the ground, your experience, your implementation strategy, the people you want to target, and blah, blah, but in a more concise way. Yeah. So keep it as a shorter version of the proposal that we talked about yesterday. Okay. Let me see if I skip something. Someone was asking how long should a concept note be? 3 to 5 pages. That was answered. Thank you for that. That's right. Do you create your own templates or formats? If it is not coming from the donor, for the concept note, you can create it on your own. If it is coming from the donor, you adopt. Yes. Yeah, that's it. Did I see a hand from someone? Yes. Oh, Jara Charles. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. It has been a long time.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yesterday I joined and I was having another commitment, which was meeting at the same hours of the presentation. So I couldn't continue. I don't know whether you can highlight more on the project proposal types, because like the one you are talking of, when I get in touch with a donor, it can fall under solicited project proposal or yeah, if you can highlight more on that, could be better, especially on the type of the project proposal.
Okay. Yeah, that is right. We actually talked about partly about it yesterday, where we're talking about solicited and unsolicited proposal. If the donor releases a call and tells you, hey guys, can you submit concept note or can you submit proposals? That donor is literally soliciting for proposals. They are asking for concept notes or proposals to come from their applicants. So whatever you write at that time is a solicited proposal. So there now it's a lot easier because the template will be coming from the donor, the TOR will be coming from the donor, maybe the timeline for submitting the proposal could come also from, it will be, I'm sure there will be a lot of information that will come with that. Because you have seen donors saying we want concept notes under food security, they will define the sectors, even the location sometimes, and they will also define when the proposal is due, what needs to be submitted and all that. So in that case, that is now a solicited proposal. Donor is soliciting for proposals. In unsolicited one, you as an organization think there is, wow, there's an idea here, or maybe there is a need here that really needs to be funded. So there now you can approach a donor with a proposal that you have written, your own, or a concept note. In that case, you have written yourself. To the donor, that becomes unsolicited. They didn't ask you for that, but you feel there is need or something that they need to know, and you can present it to them. To you, it's also unsolicited. The donor did not ask for it, but you are the one knocking at the door of the donor and say, hey, there is an idea here, or wait, look at this, there is need here. That is now unsolicited proposal. Sometimes some of these can be categorized into locally solicited, unsolicited, internationally, but just give the idea for less confusion. Solicited, the donor is asking for them. Unsolicited, you are knocking at the donor's door. Yeah. Charles, I hope that is good for you.
Yeah, it's good for me. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Deng is asking for my WhatsApp or maybe email address. I believe Bida will share that with everyone. Yeah. I see a hand from Andruga.
Yes, thank you so much, John. I want to ask you a question on the proposal writing about the solicited, I mean unsolicited, where you can come up with ideas and then you send to donor. And I have a question: how do I protect my ideas? Because sometimes when you go with your ideas, they'll say, "Oh no, it's not what we want." And then after some time, you get your ideas was taken by someone. How do I protect my ideas?
Yeah, that is a tricky part. For sure, that is a good one. Even in business world, you don't want to share your business proposal with anyone. You know, but if you are approaching the donor, you might not want to hold back. You try to sell your idea as much as possible. Yeah, so if they like it, you might get the funding for it. But you might not want also your idea to just float around with anyone. Other people might take it and try to implement it. One thing with ideas is that, and this is my personal argument on people stealing an idea, or like sometimes it doesn't come out as much. So you can still get the like the best of it as yours. You can still claim full ownership, because once that is accepted, let's say you now write a full proposal, you might find the details that the person will provide will still be different from yours, and your idea can still win. But the most important thing is just to be careful whom you share it first with. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's a good one to consider as a grant writer, actually. Do you have, what is that? I'm getting a question here from Abu Said. Do you get paid for sharing ideas in form of proposal? I don't know what that means.
So what he means is so what he means is like sort of do you get, for instance, like, do you do consultancy for project, and then like you charge people for it? So that's what it means.
Oh, okay. No.
I think he means he missed yesterday. Yesterday, John Ngong said he does grant writing for a living. So you know what that means.
But I can also clarify. Maybe that was not clear enough for the room. But I can I do grant writing for living because I am signed up with an organization as full-time job. Right, so I make a joke like I do it for a living because that's where I get paid for. This is the role I do in the organization, but based on the contract that I have, I'm not allowed to do grant writing privately or maybe to engage someone here and I get paid for it. No, until I exit where I am now, that is when I'll be legally. That's why I could be legally available to provide this service. But if someone does it on voluntarily basis, yeah, like to reach out, how may you support me here and there? To me, sharing knowledge is what we are doing right now. So yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. All right. But if you are asking to see if writing grant proposals is a paying job, yes. You could be a consultant, you get paid for that. You could make a living actually out of it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, looks like there are no more questions. We can just give you 5 minutes to just put your final advice, and then we close the session.
Okay, that is awesome. I really appreciate you guys. You guys have been good audience. I really appreciate this. I also learned from you.
Sorry for interrupting, Mr. John.
Okay.
Yes, I'm still jumping in. You see, the last idea of this gentleman, take the scenario. I'm in the community. I don't work for an NGO, but I need to contribute to my community. I find there is a gap. And then, as you said, I can write and solicit a proposal. For instance, December is coming or January, there will be a shortage of water in some of the residential area. And then I get a partner organization, which are maybe rendering the same service, sanitation. And then in process, how am I going to benefit? Do I benefit if my community get the service, or the organization I'm doing partnership with them, they are going to offer me something for a living?
Okay. I think yeah, that would depend a lot on your personal terms and the reason why you're doing it. If you would want to be paid for it, for sure. By the way, this is a very demanding job, and it takes a lot of effort. So if you want to do it as something that you will be paid for, you can even ask for as much as you want, because it's about knowing the value of your skills and the market around it, and what that means in terms of what you can offer. So yeah, to me, I would not stop anyone from doing grant writing for a living. Please go. You can go ahead. You can even specialize in it more, and there are people who are specialized in writing grants for certain donors, leave alone doing it generally. There is a person now who you can approach to write for you a proposal to a donor like EU. These people have done it for long. They can charge you a lot as consultants, and they will deliver to you a good paper. And the processes, they understand the donor very well. They understand the donor language. They understand the donor requirements. They even understand what is the trend, what is happening in the boardroom of the donors. These people invest a lot of time to cultivate this skill or this position. They can charge you a lot for it. So do not be surprised that someone is charging you to write a proposal. Don't also be shy. If you want to do it for a living, you can do it. And but define from the very start why, or maybe what are the terms that you want to contribute. If you are part of that community and you have an idea that has come to you and you write it as an solicited proposal and you get funding, it would be good to really be clear from the start. Will you be paid for it or not? You can still be paid even if the proposal is not funded, by the way. If you invest your time and other resources in it, you deserve to be paid. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Did there anything else, or do we go towards closure?
No, nothing else. We can just close. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. So as we close, I think I really want to repeat that you guys have been awesome. I have learned a lot from you, and your level of participation has been great. I wish we could do this sometime more. And personally, yes, it's also a way for us to create a community. Okay, and be there to support one another. So where I can support, I'm open to support you guys. Where you guys can support me, I can also knock and be like, guys, I need your support here. I still do things like academic research and things like that around writing successful grand proposals. So that's one way we can also support one another. If I reach out later and be like, hey guys, there's something we want to understand here as a research or something like that. So that should be, we are already a community, and as we said yesterday, our point is to share knowledge and continue to do this for the Excellence Foundation and BIDA, the team, and everyone. Really thank you all for the opportunity to be part of this audience. And yeah, I believe this can impact you in a way, and feel free to carry it forward. If it improves your work, yes. If it helps someone else in the community, like the way you said, you begin to have ideas for your community, that is also another good multiply effect of why we do some of these things. But from my side, thank you very much. Those who want to contact me would still get my contacts from BIDA. And if you would also like to join the Tukul School, this is the sister organization of Excellence Foundation. We can also interact. In Tukul School, we have weekly sessions like this and more. So you can also feel free to join our WhatsApp group. Yeah, we are not so much visible like in other online platforms, but we have a Facebook page, or you can like us, Tukul School. But mostly our interaction is limited to what is happening in a WhatsApp group. And BIDA will share the link to that. So thank you all. It has been wonderful, and bye-bye from my side. Thank you.
Great. A lovely afternoon, everyone. Go enjoy your Sunday and wish you a very fruitful new week. Thank you. Cheers. Take care, guys.
All right. Bye, everyone.